Hey, how are you doing? My name is Abdurrahman Ali. This is assignment third. I'm pretty sure the second or third, no, second assignment that we have to do a video for. Well, third one if you don't do the first one. And today we were asked to talk about how money moves through time by analyzing a real financial decision you or someone you might know face. Well, they give us an example to talk about, so I'll just be talking about this one exactly. And I kind of got a little sketch drawn out. I got a code written down and a few questions that I'll answer and there and there. Kind of says you're a financial advisor helping the client for retirement. You can drive 22 years old, make 65,000. So the guy 22 years old, you just graduated, makes $65,000 a year. Plans to retire at age 65. That's around uh, 65 minus 22. That's 43 years worth of adding up. You want to save 30% of his income every year, and you expect the inflation rate to be 2%. So every year, 2% goes up, and he's going to save 30%. So if you had $100,000, you make $30,000 in savings, but he has 65,000. So 65,000, just to let you know, 65,000 times 0.3. This is how much you'll save the first year, $19,500. But there's more to the question. There wants to save 30% of income, inflation, 2% interest rate, and then and expect the inflation rate to be 2% and the interest rate to be 5% per year. All right, you also expect his salary to increase by 3%. So his salary will be going up 3% every single year. You stretch him to invest 6% of his invest in stocks and 40% in bonds. And if you were to invest in stocks, 8% return, and bonds would give 4% return. What would the total? So these are the questions that we have to answer. What would be the total amount he would have at age 65? What is the present value of this amount? What alternative plan would you suggest? So my own plan. He also said that he might be able to put $1,000 more at the end of every year. How would that help? And how would this affect the total amount of money he would give? So we have two different questions. This and then this is one question. So let's start. So first question you would have to ask yourself is, what would be the total amount of money he would have at the age 65? How do you find that? So let's put it in an easier way. $65,000 per year. If he was to make $65,000 per year with the first year, he would make 19,500. So let's write it down. 19,500 first year. Right. Second year, he would have an increase. He would have an increase. He would have 65,000 times 1.03, which equals $66,950 times 1 times 0, because now you're not doing it from 65,000, you're doing it from this. So next year he would save 20,800. See, that went up a little bit. So last year it was 19,000. You went up almost more than $500. So this year he would be saving $20,085. So he saved an extra $585. $20,085. So you see, it's adding up. Second year. Now I'm not gonna sit here and do every single one. So I'll have an equation for it. This equation would be right here. This is the equation that you would use in order to find it. Right here, it shows you all the interest in the plus 43 years, and then that's it. And then so after, let's answer the first question, which is, what would be the total amount of age by age 65? This is the first question. Total amount after 65, at age 65, he would have 6,216,893.49 by the time they retire at age 65. This calculation is included as 3% per year extra in the weighted average total of return of 6.4% per year. 6% stocks at 8% returns. This is what they wanted. This is what this is just to us. Present value of this would be right now as he has a 1,744,105. But with the annual inflation and the 5% interest rate and all that stuff, this is what it would be worth by the time he is actually 65. In 43 years, a lot will change. Right. So that's the answer to this question and this question. What is present value? I already told you. What alternative plan? What I would suggest, with the help of AI, is instead of having 30% saving, I recommend him to save 35%. This might seem like a little bit, and it might not affect him in his financial life. However, he's going to realize that it's a big difference once it adds up, because the difference is almost 700, almost $1 million increase. He gets a little bit over $1 million increase just by saving 5% of his money. So he gets $7.2 million. That would help a lot. What they suggested the people is, why not have, instead of doing the 5% extra, he said he might be able to contribute an extra $1,000 per year. So 43 years, $1,000. But with interest, with the stock, with investing and all that stuff, it's not only $43,000 that you would get. Instead of only getting $43,000, you would get an extra $290,000. So by investing $1,000 at the end of the year, which would normally be $40,000, $43,000, he gets an extra $209,000 and $441 an extra. So there's a lot of things you could do. What I recommend is this, my plan. Add an extra 5%, and with the extra 5%, he gets $1 million extra for financial earnings at the end of the year. Now let me explain to you guys the code and how the code works. So I put in a code to kind of understand, and it kind of spew out a chart for me. This is the code that I put in. It's very hard to understand, but if you bring it down to here, it kind of gives you a chart. Original plan, if the difference, it shows you if this was the original plan, 30% savings, and that's it. He saved 30% of his money, and that's all he would do. This is if he was to save only 5% more, he gets $1 million more. Then, which is only if he asks $1,000 at the end of the year, he only gets $200,000 more, which is all very important. And then let me show you guys a little chart. This is a little bit first to explain. This is what I would happen. You see, age 22, he'd make $19,500 savings. Year one, he made $20,000. Year two, he made $20,688. You see, the difference is adding up because of the interest, because of the 3% increase in his salary. It's adding up a lot. So by the third year, he's already adding $2,000 to savings almost. So imagine by year 43, he's probably adding an extra $20,000 per savings. It adds up very fast. Compound interest is something that adds up extremely fast. So it's like same thing as if you add one coin. You add one coin, two coins, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Next thing you know, you already add $1 million. It adds up very fast. And just to answer, these are all the answers. We answer what's the financial position, what information you need to gather. We use Driver to understand the answer. And I think everything went well, and I hope you guys all understood what I was talking about. Thank you guys very much for watching me, and I'll see you guys next week.